Hey Helldivers, welcome back to another Warbond review, with this one focusing on a more futuristic take than what we're currently used to. Now this Warbond provides some interesting and extraordinary devices for us to play with, from being able to teleport with a miniature black hole on our back, to having a weapon that can fire nearly all those rounds at once, with some feedback also added to it. So if you want to see what the science division of Super Earth is up to after the Illuminate invasion, then I'll be happy to help you. So what's in the Warbond? The control group, Warbond, focuses its theme around being a test dummy for experimental goods and items. Even though Helldivers tend to be test subjects anyway for many experimental things are a bit more different, as we'll see in some of the latest results from the leftover illuminate equipment from Super Earth's battles. Like standard, you will get 3 pages of items, which include super credits, 2 new armor sets plus passive, stratagems, emote, cape, etc. So generally what you're all familiar with. This will cost you 1000 super credits like always, and it will cost you a grand total of 713 medals for everything to be unlocked. So let's go over what the Warbond offers in terms of practical items. Starting with the VG70 variables is a special volley weapon that holds multiple barrels and is capable of firing in 3 different volleys. Just a note before we start, when I say special I mean it belongs to a different weapon category for weapons that are not normal, such as the CRISPR for example. While it looks like an AR, how it functions makes it also not the case. It packs 85 damage with light armor penetration, which makes it sound terrible on paper, but its volley option is where it becomes unique with different targets. It also holds 49 rounds within its capacity, has 7 spare mags to use, and lastly it has 3 different options of RPMs from 300, 550 to 750, and it also comes with 3 scope options of 25, 50 to 100 meters, so pretty reliable across the board. This weapon's performance is what you would expect as a special AR/shotgun amalgamation, well, to my point of view. It's great with taking on enemies with barely any armor like infantry and fodder types, and it will excel well when dealing with them in large groups. But when it comes down to dealing with the slightly more armored units like brute commanders, it can start to feel a bit weak with the amount of ammo needed to kill just one. This is where you swap it to its next form, which is the volley form, and this mode allows you to fire 7 rounds at once. With this active, you can take down a brute commander within 2 shots to the head, or you can go with the total and completely decimate them. Which does bring us to the last part of the mode, which is total, and this fires all rounds within the base magazine at once. This mode is only recommended if you're facing a very tough enemy like hulks or chargers, and while its damage is very high, it's not enough to penetrate most of their tough armor. For that, you need to aim at their weak point, which will be the one shot for the weapon. What you need to understand with this weapon is that although it has light armor penetration, it does not mean it's weak or useful for certain things. The variable is pretty balanced when it comes to dealing with all sorts of enemies at once, which allow players to be more prepared if they have the accompanying support, grenade or secondary on hand. The only bad thing about the weapon is the lack of customization option, which is understandable as it is a special grade weapon. But at the same time, it's a shame as the weapon's ergonomic is quite low and makes it incredibly sluggish to operate with. Nonetheless, it's a fun weapon that I can see myself using very often, and it seems to be taken on by the community quite well for its uniqueness. And this will only cost you 25 medals. Now for the armor sets, you get 1 medium and 1 heavy armor set from the pack, the Bleeding Edge and Apollonian. These 2 armor sets come with a new armor perk called Adrenaline Defibrillator, which zaps you back to life, given that you don't lose any limbs. Your health will keep draining forever, increasing stim duration by 2 seconds, and getting a 50% resistance to arc damage. This passive isn't a game changer, even though the passive sounds amazing. Basically, as long as you don't lose a limb, once you reach 0 health, you will be revived, but on borrowed time. In this time frame, you can keep killing enemies, call in stratagems, and even mark key areas, but your health will drop incredibly fast and you won't be able to run in your state. In simple terms, you become a zombie that will nonetheless die eventually. But the crazy thing about this passive is that it can be very useful if you combine it with weapons with big magazines, use stratagems that are designed for inflicting high damage, use the mechs, which for some reason can stop you from dying even though it's a bug I believe, and my personal favourite, use the portable hell bomb and go off in a blaze of glory. The armor set is impressive and unique enough that it will offer you something advantageous, even if you don't use the above recommendations. And personally, I can see this being even more popular over time. And this will cost you 45 and 55 medals each separately. Now the PLAS-45 Epoch is a bigger version of the PLAS Scorcher, but it acts more like a quasar cannon and railgun amalgamation. Now unlike most charged weapons, if you charge this for too long, it will explode and it will kill you. So this requires a bit of patience and timing if you wish to maximize your damage. And this is important to note as there are specific cues you need to listen for when charging a weapon, as if you charge it and then fire it straight away, then you'll do minimal damage. But if you charge it a tad longer and before it's about to explode, you can do way more damage than normal. This makes it excellent against chargers, bio-titans, harvesters, etc. But it also comes with the high risk of killing you and losing the weapon on reinforcements. At the moment the weapon is bugged due to its extreme spread, which means you can miss your shots at times even though you're dead exact onto the enemy. But outside of its high risk, limited magazine of 3 shots, and bugged nature, it's a pretty damn good weapon once you get the hang of it, and it will only cost you 75 medals. And just like the many turrets we are used to, the laser turret is now introduced to the fold and is pretty decent with taking on all types of enemies. Its laser type is continuous, so it will produce a long and continuous beam of energy onto targets, but also igniting them on fire for additional damage. Now this against the majority of enemies is fantastic as it will kill or weaken enemies faster for us, and used against bigger targets like the Hulk, it can kill them though it will take a bit of time. The only issue with the turret is that due to its simple targeting, the Sentry will continue firing its beam at enemies it cannot pierce, despite overheating, leading to its self-destruction. Because of this and its general poor AI, the Sentry has the least uptime of all sentries, as it will most likely self-destruct before reaching its full lifetime duration. Now if the devs can extend how long it can last before it overheats, or better off, make it so that if it does overheat, it doesn't actually blow up, but just go into a cooldown state, I think it will be a lot more usable over time. But outside of that, it's not a Sentry worth taking over the machine gun or autocannon variations. This will cost you 85 medals if you want it. Now let's take a look at the Lift 182 Warp Pack. This is one of the most surprising stratagems to be added, as this is an amazing traversal backpack that can be used offensively as well. It allows you to teleport 10 meters on the direction you're facing, and it will have an orb that will indicate safety levels when using it. Purple means safe to use, orange means it will damage you or break a random limb, but still safe to use, and red means certain death, and it will destroy you and the backpack as well. It's best advised to use it when it's purple or orange if you're in danger, as any more than that is guaranteed death, and neither Democracy Protects or Adrenaline Defibrillator can save you. But outside of the risk it poses, I can see this being very common to use for those that like to reposition themselves when in danger, or prefer something over the Jet and Hover pack. Its ability to phase through objects allows users to finally bypass bunkers solo now, and its destructive capability against most enemies makes it useful when generally out of ammo. If I had to be honest, this alone is what would have got me the Warbond, as it is cool to use and practical in design, and this will cost you an eye-watering 110 medals. And lastly, for our special throwables, we have the Arc Grenades, that feels like it should have been part of the cutting edge Warbond. When the G31 Arc is thrown, it goes static on the ground for a few seconds, and then it begins to randomly expel electric arcs a total of 5 times before wearing out. Each time it expels these arcs, it bounces in a small area, but depending on the terrain, it can also be incredibly unpredictable. Similar to Pyrotech Grenades, it's okay, and it's good for ad control, ad clearing, and taking on choke points. Now, it can't destroy spawners, you can only have 4 in total, and it is very deadly to use for yourself and allies from a surprising distance. The combo of stun plus damage and being able to stun heavies is pretty great though, and I can see this being paired up with armor that increases grenade inventory, and a heavy weapon that also excels with ad control. It seems though most players prefer something more flexible than the following, which is understandable if you like grenades that do damage and can close spawners, and this will cost you 65 medals. So to conclude everything we have gone over, I actually do recommend the Warbond. Compared to all the other Warbonds we had, this one is very unique and creative with its flock of weaponry and gear to use. Everything about this is experimental, which I love, as it allows the devs to design the gear however they like, with a mix of alien and human design. And while the items do pose a significant threat to our lives, like always, it can do incredible things that honestly makes the Warbond worth its weight in super credits. Experimental and fun, you'll want to grab this if you enjoyed the full alienness of the Warbond. So there we have it. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have any thoughts on the content or genuinely like what was shown, then please leave a like, a comment and subscribe for more future stuff. It was great seeing you again, Helldivers, and I hope to see you again soon.